Our series begins today with Dr. Makino on his way to his new workplace. Throughout the way, he recalls some memories at the hospital involving a screaming child and a man. Someone asks if it is his duty to save him, and the director asks how he fails to understand human emotions. A third memory involves the same person questioning the diagnosis, and he remains drowned in thoughts as many children pass him. He reaches the school gate and remembers the director transferring him to this elementary school as a doctor with limited authority to deal with students while the school holds an assembly to give everyone instructions for the second semester. They announce that Nurse Yumi is on maternity leave and a male nurse is replacing her, so Makino steps up. Briefly, we will call him Mach, and he speaks quickly and angrily to inform them that he is a doctor and not a nurse. He orders the students not to visit the clinic, upsetting everyone because Nurse Yumi was different, while the director tries to explain. Teacher Shino follows him and says he will terrify the kids so no one will visit, urging him to smile. She asks why he is so closed off, but Mach ignores her and walks away as the first class of the second semester begins. Shino is responsible for class 2 and introduces them to their new classmate, Kai. Everyone welcomes her and feels happy because she speaks like an adult, while one student speaks up. A student tells the teacher that Yumi fell asleep again, so everyone laughs and claims she surely stayed up. They say she watched TV all night, making Yumi sad and silent, while Shino notices Sam looks feverish, but he refuses her touch. He claims he is fine, and after class, Yumi decides to go to the clinic to sleep because she cannot keep her eyes open, but she has a nightmare where she gets bad grades and her mother yells at her. She accuses her of neglecting her studies to stay up all night and sleep at school. Her mother calls her a liar and walks away, but Yumi keeps calling out to her. She wakes up suddenly to find Dr. Mack trying to rouse her, asking if she is sick. The teacher enters with Sam at that moment, so Yumi runs out while Mack learns that she sleeps a lot, and he examines Sam, finding everything normal, but asks Shino to look. After the two, but Sam runs out too, making Shino wonder aloud if Dr. Mack is truly that scary, which Mack dislikes hearing, so she asks him again to try. To smile, because the infirmary is the most important room where children must feel comfortable to visit when in pain. Sam tries to convince his friends in class to visit the secret hideout he discovered at school, telling them it is great and located in the Forbidden Forest. One student calls him stupid for entering the Forbidden Forest, and they refuse to go with him. Two others listen and decide to join him, feeling scared on the way until Sam reassures them. They are very happy upon arrival because it is a real secret hideout with many cool things. Suddenly, Sam collapses with a high fever, so the scared kids decide to call Shino and Mach. Mack examines him and discovers the insect that bit him in the hideout, noting it is its first time here. Mack is very worried because the insect can cause pneumonia or brain inflammation, so they wait for the ambulance. Mack asks what they are doing there, and they tell him about the cool secret hideout in the forest. Mack gets excited, which angers Shino because he acted like a child instead of scolding them. The two children apologize and cry, realizing they caused sick Sam to return because they thought he was lying. They went to prove his lie, but found he was honest. So Sam cries and holds Mack's hand. He says no one believed him, and regarding Yumi, her mother wakes her at home. She overslept again and will miss the movie with friends, so she wakes up startled to find many messages. She missed the outing and goes to school the next day, feeling very embarrassed before her friends. She tries to apologize, but they ignore her and continue laughing and talking as if she is not there. Yumi is very sad at lunch, but suddenly falls asleep again and drops her spoon. Shino notices this and decides to talk to her, but it is useless because Yumi is lost in thought, imagining everyone abandoning her because of the condition she does not understand, yet everyone accuses her of staying up on the internet, so she runs out crying. Everyone says she was not like this in previous grades, so she decides to consult Mach and goes very reluctant. Mack is very busy, but Shino insists on speaking with him, reminding him that his responsibility is to speak with the children and identify their problems, saying she tried to talk to her, but she is closed off and refuses to speak. Although she is their teacher, some children cannot express themselves well, so she needs his help, and it appears that Shino is truly affected and loves her students deeply. But suddenly a teacher interrupts to inform them that Yumi fainted in the garden, so they run quickly, and when Mach arrives, he finds her lying on the ground and keeps calling into her ear until she wakes up, and he asks if she hit her head when she fell, but she says no, so he carries her to the nursing room to rest. When she wakes up, he decides to sit with her to understand her condition, but she is very tense and does not answer any question, so he remembers what happened with Sam and that children need someone to believe and trust them. He asks her to trust him so he can help her overcome her crisis, and Yumi finally decides to open up, crying as she asks him why she sleeps all the time, not understanding why this happens to her, why she loses her friends, and why the school worries so much. much about her, which makes Mach feel very sad for her, and for the first time in his life, he begins to understand children well and understand those around him in general, telling her that he will not doubt her and will believe her. But she needs to talk so they can overcome the crisis, adding that it is stupid for those around her to be upset over something out of her hands. Yumi cries because she finally found someone who does not accuse her of acting or lying, while Mach asks her many questions, through which he finally understands her condition. Then Shino comes to check on her status. She asks Mach to step out for a moment and learns that before she fainted, her friends were pressuring her and mocking her a lot for sleeping. Then this happened suddenly, so Mach says he knows her condition but needs to confirm a few things first. So Shino takes Yumi back to class where everyone continues to mock her, calling her a liar and an actor, and at this time, Mach is very worried about her, so he decides to go check on her and sees the children speaking badly to her, so Yumi screams at them, saying she hates herself, but suddenly she cannot speak and falls to the ground. But this time her eyes are open, yet nothing in her moves, and he explains she suffers from narcolepsy, which caused the paralysis attack she experiences. The situation could worsen, and Yumi wakes up after minutes crying, unable to believe she is sick and not acting or lying as everyone accused her, so Mach stands up to scold the children, and when Shino tries to stop him, he yells at her too, asking what it means if they are children, and if that gives them the right to mock a colleague or pressure her until her life worsens, informing them that this fatigue has a major psychological factor and they are one of the reasons her condition deteriorated, so her friend cries hard, and Sam feels very sad for her because he went through the same feeling when everyone treated him as a liar. Then Mach calls Yumi's mother, and when she arrives, he explains the condition in detail and the treatment plan they will follow for Yumi to improve, so her mother apologizes for not believing her and treating her badly, and Shino also apologizes for not noticing this earlier, and they all promise to help her improve, and they bring some of her classmates to apologize to her, including Sam and her friend. They promise to help her overcome this fatigue and return safely, and the next day Kai is at school with her friend Riki, who complains of severe stomach pain and tells Kai she will go to Dr. Mack for an exam, but Kai, who has been watching Mack for a while for an unknown reason, prevents her and tells her he killed a patient before, which is why they fired him from the hospital, and a first aid class begins where they teach them how to save someone if they faint and a heart problem is suspected. So one student asks why they have to do this instead of asking for help from adults, so Mack tells him death can happen at any time and might occur when no adult is around to help, and when Shino asks him to speak to them more gently, he yells at her, saying death is a reality that happens, so why keep decorating it for children all the time instead of teaching them how to face it, while Kai is with Riki, who is in pain, but Kai prevents her from visiting the clinic. A classmate hears them and starts spreading rumors about him and making mean drawings of him. The rumors reach every class, and Sam and Yumi try to defend him because Mach helped them, but Kai tells them some doctors invent diseases to attract patients, which annoys Sam and Yumi greatly, while Shino goes to fight with Mac, as usual because of the rumors spreading about him, but as usual he does not stay silent and tells her he is the victim, so instead of finding who started these rumors to punish them, she comes to yell at him and tell him to smile so kids won't fear him, and honestly he is right, while Riki remains all. Riki is in pain all the time and decides to go to the clinic eventually, trying to reach the medicine shelf, but it is too far for her and she feels pain, so she falls to the ground, noticing strange things on her legs, and when she pulls down her sock she finds strangely colored circles. They look very scary, and when Mach arrives and sees her legs, he asks to examine her, but she runs away. He goes after her and tries to stop her, while Kai looks for her and the rest of the students are heading to the playground. Kai exploits the situation, asking Riki what the doctor did to her, and the other children see her legs and get very scared of her. They think Mac poisoned her, so he yells at them, asks her to pull up her sock, and makes her sit and tell him about what she has, so he informs her that this is vasculitis that happens to children, and with treatment and rest, these circles will disappear completely. But Kai says to him that if he is such a clever doctor, why did he leave the hospital and what is he doing at their school? But Mac does not answer her, only looks at her and tells the children that spreading rumors about him is not good for them because if a child is sick, they will fear going for an exam, which might make them get sicker or worse, die. And Mac takes Riki to examine her and Kai tries to stop her, but Riki leaves her and walks away, and at the end of the day, Kai receives a phone call, and as soon as she sees the number she is very happy, and it turns out to be her brother Now, who appears to be in the hospital calling to check on her. He asks her if the school is nice as he hears, and Kai keeps encouraging him and asking him to endure and listen to his words. Then he asks her to see the doctor, so Kai falls silent, wondering which doctor he means, as we do not know. But suddenly the same nurse who works at the hospital Mach was fired heard from, appears and asks him to hang up to prepare. For the exam, so does he mean Mach, and what is Mach's relationship to them anyway, we do not know. And at this time, there are children playing on the tree, and suddenly one of them falls, so his friends keep mocking him and run away. And when Kai goes to check on him, Yugi tells her he is fine and refuses to go to the clinic because of what is said about Mach, and the next day the same. Two children gather to complete their challenge, but Yugi suddenly falls to the ground unable to breathe, so his friend feels terrified by his appearance and runs. To get Dr. Mack, and Shino and Kai arrive at the sound of the boys and are shocked to see Mach putting the needle tip into Yugi's chest, so Shino screams, and Mack informs her that he has a punctured lung, surely caused by his fall, which caused oxygen to leak from it, and he asks his friend if he fell today, so he informs them that they were just climbing, but he suddenly fell, and when he asks if he fell before, the child gets scared and says nothing, all while Kai is standing there feeling guilty. And when Mach returns from the hospital, Shino and Yugi's teacher go to him, and they learn that Kai saw him falling yesterday, saying that Yugi is a quiet child, but since he met Dan, who naturally loves running and challenges, his personality began to change and he tries to imitate him. So Mach gets angry at them and tells them they must make children aware of the danger of life and death and the seriousness of matters, as jumping from a big tree like this could cause immediate death. But they manage to save the situation and the puncture heals quickly, so he decides to take Dan to the hospital to give him a realistic and actual lesson about what happens in real life, not in children's imagination, telling him the same thing he told Shino and the teacher, that people die if they fall from a tree smaller than this, and shows him a child who was normal and went to school. But a year ago on the way, a bike hit him, leaving him in this state, informing him that not only recklessness threatens people's lives, as humans are constantly exposed to danger, so we must try as much as possible to preserve our lives and be grateful for what we have. So Dan cries and asks if this child will return to normal, like them or not, but the hospital director interrupts their conversation, getting angry as soon as he sees Mac, and asking him what he is doing there. But his friend comes to save him, telling the director he gave him permission to visit. So Mac leaves with Dan, who understood the lesson, but the hard way, and the director says Mac will never change and will always impose his theories on those around him. But his colleague sees the opposite, and the two go to Yugi, where Dan promises that next time they will play a game he likes that preserves their lives, and thus both have learned the lesson. And Kai sees them as she is also in the hospital and hears Mac's words and those who do not understand the problem between them. And the next day, Kai is going home from school, so Yumi stops her and asks why she hates Dr. Mac to this degree and spread these rumors about him. So she says she surely exaggerated when she said he killed a patient, but he left a patient attached to him, and both are the same to her. Then she leaves her and walks away, and on her way home she sees an old man fallen on the ground, so she tries to call someone to help, but there is no one at all. So she calls the ambulance and informs them his chest and stomach are not moving as he told them in training, and they inform her they will arrive as fast as possible. But however, if she knows how to perform first aid until they arrive, it would be better. So she remembers the instructions Mac gave her, and that every minute electric shocks are delayed puts the patient's life in more danger. So she decides to get the defibrillator and calls Mac to inform him of the situation. So he asks her to follow instructions, open the device, and aid the man. And at first, she is very tense, but Mac makes her execute slowly and helps her calm down, and she starts executing the steps one after another while he is on the phone with her, and she keeps crying because no one is around. But suddenly Mac's voice comes from afar, asking her to switch with him, and he gets down on the ground and keeps pressing on the patient's chest until he wakes up. They go to the hospital, and Mac turns to Kai, informing her that because of her courage, she saved a human life today. So she says he is a very great person, but asks why he abandoned her brother now suddenly, and keeps crying. She decides to take Mac to her brother now, and as soon as Now sees him, he runs to him, so Mac scolds him. But Now does not get upset, showing he is used to his style and loves him very much, and although he is the only one who scolds him in the hospital, he understands that he fears for him, and Kai notices how much Now is attached to him. Then the nurse takes him to go to the bathroom, and he walks slowly in a funny way while looking at Mac, and we learn that Mac was handling Now's case from the start and continued with him for a long time. But after a while, he transferred to the school, and Now was sad all the time because he was very attached to him, although he has a strange personality, but perhaps his excessive honesty was the reason. And at the same time, his friend, the hospital director, sits with Now's family, informing them that the situation improved greatly, and the time has come to perform the surgery. And afterwards, Mac and Kai check on Now and prepare to leave. Kai apologizes to him because she was behind the rumors that spread about him, informing him she did this so when he gets fired from school, he would return to the hospital again to be near us and support him. So Mock gets angry and makes her understand that if he gets fired from school, he cannot return to the hospital again. And this, apart from the fact that the ones hurt most would be the students who fear visiting the clinic due to rumors. So she remembers what happened with her classmates when they did not visit the clinic due to these rumors, and she decides to apologize to everyone, telling Mac that if he does not keep his promise to visit now again, she will be very upset with him. After a while, Kai is returning from school running and very happy, and as soon as she reaches home, her brother now has finally returned from the hospital, and she tells him they can finally go to school together. But her mother informs her he is still in recovery period, and she stops saying this in front of her brother, and it appears her mother is very harsh on her, while Kai bears responsibility like an adult person. And the next day, Yumi's in the clinic doing her checkup, and her condition has improved much more than before, and she asks Mock why he became a pediatrician, although it is clear he has no patience for children. So he informs her that a pediatrician can examine the whole body and see everything in it. But for adults, every body part has a specialty, and he loves studying everything, so he specialized in pediatrics. So Yumi laughs at him because all he cares about is work, and that's it. She tells him that despite being like this, he was actually able to heal her soul and heart along with her body, which touches Mock deeply. After school, Kai returns home to find her mother in a big rush, informing her that her grandmother is sick and she will leave now with her until she returns, and her mother is always very harsh with her but kind to Now, which affects her. Kai goes to prepare food for Now but is surprised he is not there, and when she looks for him, she sees him dressing and wanting to go out for a walk. He keeps begging her until she agrees, and he is very happy with everything he sees, and we learn that he does not go out much and knows everything from books only. And when he arrives at the school, he insists on entering, but Kai informs him Mom will worry and they must return, so he pretends he needs to go to the bathroom, and when they enter, he runs away from her, and at this time the fun trio and their friends decided to explore the school at night because Sam has horror stories about every class, and suddenly the skeleton moves, so the three scream and keep saying the skeleton ghost appeared. The skeleton ghost appeared. So he comes out and tells them who has appeared, and I am not a ghost, and the four get to know each other, and Now asks them to show him the school because this is his first day in it, but Now gets very tired on the stairs, and the three notice this, but he insists on continuing with them, and they agree when they learn he has no friends and always plays alone while Kai is turning the whole school upside down for him and decides to inform Mock to help her, and the four reach the art room. Sam tells them a terrifying story, but it is silly and no one gets scared, but he is very happy and amazed by everything around him at the same time, and suddenly they hear someone coming, so they hide under the table, and it is Kai calling him, but she does not see them, and the four continue playing until they finally reach their classroom, and Now is exhausted and everyone is scared for him, but suddenly the door opens and the three scream, but it turns out to be Mock yelling at them, and Kai rushes past him running to her brother, and Mock examines him, finding he is exhausted but in no danger, and when Now asks to come to school every day because he enjoyed today, Mock shows him he could climb the stairs and do all this because he was patient and endured, and the result was improvement. So if he endures more, he can return to school sooner, but Now dislikes this talk, so Mock gets angry at him, saying if he does not listen he will die and will not be able to do anything, and the other three dislike this talk too and keep bullying Mac, paying him no mind at all, but they fall silent when Kai cries and begs Now to endure because they went through a very hard time, talking to him about everything that happened, where they were and where they are now, all because of his patience and strength. So the three understand the situation and promise Now that from now on they are friends and will wait for him to get well to play together again. And a few days later, Now and his father go to the garden. He is very happy, but his mother returns from the market and sees him getting on the swing, so she yells at his father in front of everyone, caring about no one, and when they return, they keep arguing, and her husband tells her she is suffocating him and not protecting him. Then Kai enters to tell her mother what happened at school, that Now is better now, and what Mock said too, but instead of understanding, her mother slaps her on the face, saying she is the cause of everything from the start, and Kai does nothing but apologize, and the next day after school she goes to Mock, but learns he is on rounds, so she leaves, and 2 hours later Shino goes quickly panting to Mac to inform him that Kai has been missing for 2 hours, telling him what happened between her and her mother yesterday, and that she came today to ask for him surely, to talk to him since he was her brother's doctor, asking him to search for her together, but Mock as usual does not care or likes to exert effort, but Shino drags him along and everyone searches for her while Shino is with her father. He tells her all this is surely their fault because they pressured her, cared for Now, and neglected her, so she grew up before her time and kept bottom bottling inside, and instead of understanding what happened, she hit her, acting all the time as if no one fears. For now but her, saying he is happy she is close to Dr. Darmok so she has someone to talk to. Then Shino remembers she had actually gone to the clinic today, so she calls Mac saying she might have returned to school, so Mac gets angry they dragged him for nothing, while Kai is. Alone in the clinic, the whole place dark, remembering when she and Nao were home alone. She asked him to go out for a change of atmosphere, and Nao was very happy, but suddenly his condition deteriorated and he fell. Because he was forbidden from any movement, they hospitalized him, and Kai keeps blaming herself all the time. Her mother's harshness increases this feeling, and Kai is drowning in her emotions and memories, feeling nothing until the light turns on and she sees Mach in front of her, and she keeps apologizing all the time, telling him she is the cause and will make Nao's condition worse if she stays near him, so she had to leave. Mac tells her if she wants to apologize, she should apologize to her parents first. Secondly, when there is a sick child in the family, the second child loses his parents' love and attention, so he is forced to be more mature than necessary, but with time he loses his endurance, and this is what happened to her when she ran away, and she must not bear the responsibility or burden of her brother's illness as she is still a child, and it is her right to find love and attention, and adults must be responsible for Nao, and she should care for him as much as she can, but she burdens herself all the time with a role and responsibility too big for her that will make her explode periodically without realizing, and Kai feels every word Max says. Unable to believe someone finally expressed her feelings, and a call comes to her mother informing her she is at the hospital. As soon as Nao finds out, he runs and goes down the elevator, and she arrives at the school with Nao, who insisted on going to his sister, and as soon as she sees her, she starts fighting and yelling, calling her selfish, but her husband does not stay silent this time. He tells her she is a child and they neglected her greatly, but Mach interrupts, telling them she is indeed a troublemaker girl who spread rumors about him at school, so he would get fired and return to the hospital to treat Nao again, thinking that way he would improve quickly and live a normal life. So she breaks down asking if she should forgive her for that, but Mac informs her she is a child who has 2 children, not 1, and everyone is very worried about Nao, but they must all learn to take things step by step and at the same time give Nao space to express himself. So Nao tells her everything that happened at school and how much he was happy when he played hide and seek, and these are details she hears for the first time, not believing herself at all that they reach this progress, and Mach goes to tell Nao he was able to reach this stage through patience and maintaining treatment, so Nao promises him to continue so he can play every day, and their mother realizes. She was very harsh on Kai and asks if the slap hurt her, so Kai cries, feeling her mother is treating her like a child for the first time, and it passes. Days pass, and the time for the children's school trip arrives, and they are all divided into groups. In one group, the children refuse to listen to their leader, and among them is a girl named Hana. Hana remains distracted all the time and not her natural self at all, constantly remembering what happened 2 days before they traveled, when Shino was very sad because the decorations the students worked hard on for the autumn festival were destroyed. Someone destroyed them, and they do not know who, so one student accuses Fu because he was the last one at school. Fu keeps denying that he did it, but all the students are determined that he did it. One of his classmates cries because she exerted a very great effort on it, and it appears Fu knows something but remains silent. In the present time, the students finish their tour and return to the rooms. When Hana enters her room with her friends, she finds them still talking about the decorations. One of them says no one was present at school except Hana and Fu, then tells Hana not to worry as they do not suspect her. Only Fu did this, but she keeps asking her what she was doing until such a late time at school. Hana justifies her position, saying she was studying in the library, so the girl tells them she told them she is innocent, and surely Fu is the only culprit. Due to excessive thinking, Hana cannot sleep and decides to go out to the hall, but is surprised by Fu, who is also walking. As soon as she sees him, she turns her face and walks away quickly, but he catches up to her and asks why she runs from him all the time. When she looks at him and smiles, he asks her to stop this fake smile because he knows her true reality. She asks him if he told anyone, and he reassures her that no one other than him knows, and it is clear there is a very big secret between them. No one knows it except them, and the next day, everyone is enjoying themselves. But Hana cannot enjoy anything, executing everything as if they are mere orders, and inside she is not happy at all. But all the time, the same fake smile does not leave her face, and a classmate asks her to swap with her, so she agrees and decides to walk. But she collides with Fu, who is standing and talking to her classmate. She imagines in her head that he told her classmate about what happened that day, and we learn she lives all the time inside things in her head only. She goes to wash the knife but keeps holding it, and suddenly she has an episode, panting heavily while pressing on it. Unable to catch her breath at at all, clearly going through a major psychological crisis, but she snaps out of it at the sound of her classmates. She returns to the fake smile Fu spoke of, staring at Fu and her classmate all day while lost in thought. Clearly, she does not want anyone to know the secret, and Fu is playing by the lake with all the other students. The trip supervisor asks them to gather, so Hana goes to speak with him, but suddenly she drowns again in her thoughts. She imagines everyone abandoning her, and we learn that the secret she and Fu were hiding is that she is the one who ruined the decorations, but why she ruined them no one knows, and everyone starts blaming her in her imagination, speaking to her very harshly, even her mother, and we understand there is a conflict between her and her mother, and Hana remains, drowned in her thoughts, not feeling herself at all until she pushes Fu into the water, and luckily. Meg is sitting and sees everything, running quickly to save Fu, and when he asks her why she did that, she is unable to catch her breath and tells him she slipped and hit him unintentionally, and of course Mac does not believe her. At the same time, he notices the nervous state she is in and takes them to the treatment room, going to tell Shino what happened, so she talks to Hana. To understand her problem, knowing she pushed him and not by accident as she said, while at the same time Fu understands Hana's condition. Feeling what she is going through, he asks her to speak and says she cannot keep imagining things inside her head only. She gets angry at him and asks him to shut up because no one understands or feels her, and she herself does not understand what she is going through or the cause of her anger. Why she gets tense when seeing a group laughing happily together, so Fu tells her she is surely afraid everyone is enjoying without her and abandoning her, so he gets up asking her to run away together because every time she feels a bad sensation, she must try to laugh. They actually go out into the middle of the forest, and suddenly they hear a very strange sound and are very scared. But Mak noticed their escape, and they keep running and laughing, and Hana is finally able to feel joy. Suddenly she falls and her leg hurts badly. Then Mak comes and returns them to the camp, trying to put medication on the bruise. But Hana refuses at first, hiding something in her hand, then is forced to let go, revealing scratches on her leg. Meg tries to talk to her, but she loses her temper and throws the nearest thing next to her at him. He is very understanding and asks her why she is afraid. What scares her all the time like this and keeps her in a state of anger? She says she tore the decorations and Fu saw her, and she was afraid he would tell everyone, but this is not important because the thing that scares her most is herself she's afraid of. Thinking about herself very much, and Mac decides to tell this to Shino, but asks her to keep it a secret, informing her that she has a psychological condition driving her to harm herself, and this is surely due to a very big problem she is going through, and all this while Shino cannot comprehend his words, as if he is talking about someone other than the kind. Quiet Hana, who is always smiling, and Mac decides the next day to call her father to inform him his daughter fell. His only reaction is to have her return by taxi, and his reaction is very cold, and indeed Hana returns home. As soon as her mother sees her, she runs to receive her, very afraid for her, but suddenly she disappears, and we understand she was imagining, or wishing this would happen, and she enters her mother's room, finding her clothes missing, understanding she carried out what was in her mind. We learn there are problems between her father and mother, and this is the main reason behind her condition, and that her mother left the house and walked away. Even her father no longer looks at her, and her mother always told him she took all her father's bad qualities. This makes her unable to accept herself at all, thinking her mother threw her away and left her, imagining many scenarios like this as she does every time. Days pass very difficultly for Hana, and one day she feels she does not want to go to school, so she asks her father to be absent. Because she is very tired, so he agrees without looking at her as if he is just a robot, and Hana remains holding the bear. Her friend gave her as a gift, pulling on it until she tears it, and she runs inside to unwrap her leg, thinking of harming herself again. The next day, Mak is checking attendance and discovers Hana did not come today, which makes him very scared for her. What increases his fear more is when Shino comes after class, informing him she researched the topic of self-harm. This is the reaction of a human suffering and trying to escape emotional pain by feeling physical pain to distract from the deep pain. She says that always on all trips Hana wrote her mother's number, but this is the first time she writes her father's number. So Mak confirms his suspicions, and they try to call the house many times, but she does not answer either. And Mak remembers when she told him the thing she fears most is herself, so he decides to go to her house himself before any disaster happens. At the same time, Hana is at home standing in front of a broken plate, the same plate her mother loved to eat from. She keeps remembering everything that happened to her, and without realizing, she hurts herself with a piece of the broken plate. Mak is running all the way, and no one understands why, although he could have taken a taxi normally. Anyway, he arrives. He keeps knocking for Hana, who does not answer him, standing on the other side with the glass still in her hands, covering it, and after many attempts, she decides to finally answer Mac, asking him to leave her because he is like the rest. rest. They care about her for a period, then leave her and walk away, and this destroys her. And he does all this because it is his job, nothing more. Not because he fears for her and blood starts dripping from her hands. So Mak says yes, this is his job, but he was not obliged to come all the way here, and that he needs to know who she is and what she is going through to be able to help her, because he would like to help her and would like to hear her asking her to allow him to help her, getting down on his knee and begging her. And this makes us go back a bit before Mak left the hospital, and the clinic is very crowded, and clearly there is a very large number of sick children, and Mak is with the nurse examining a case, and it is the same man whose words Mak remembered all the time. Mak tells him his son has a severe flu, giving him instructions and medicines, not giving the child's father a chance to speak. This was his personality before he learned to listen to people and feel for them. Plus, the clinic is very crowded, and he wants to help the largest number of children as much as he can. But 2 weeks later, Ben is still sick, and his father decides to take him to the hospital again, telling the nurse the doctor surely diagnosed his son wrong because the fever went down and returned again after a while. He suspects Mak rushed that day because the clinic was crowded, so the director arrives at their conversation and decides to examine him himself. The child truly has the flu, and tests say he has a bacterial infection whose cause they cannot determine, so the director asks him to come. After 3 days, and the father speaks with the director privately, informing him his wife died a while ago, and since that time, Ben remains silent all the time and does not express himself at all, nor his pain. That is why he is tense and afraid for him all the time, and focuses on all details. So the director reassures him, informing him they will help him get through all this together, and Mak notices as they leave that Ben fell and cannot walk, holding his legs. So he goes to the director, who keeps yelling at him that he cannot listen to those around him, and the most important thing is to learn how to gain the trust of children and their families. But Mak is not convinced by any of this at all, and the director orders him to stop working in outpatient clinics for a period, so Mak goes annoyed to review Ben's files and tests, and when he sees them, his suspicion is confirmed. So he calls them, and Ben answers, and Mak tries to understand the problem from him, but he refuses to speak, and 3 days later he goes to ask the nurse, so she informs him they canceled the appointment and said they will go to another hospital, so he decides to go to the house himself and keeps. He knocks and rings the bell, so a neighbor comes out, and Mak explains to him that there is a sick child inside and he must help him enter, and when he opens the door they see Ben sleeping on the sofa, unable to move or speak. So Mak examines him and takes him to the hospital. He asks the nurse to do tests and x-rays immediately, and Mak checks what he feared on the ultrasound, and when the director arrives with his friend, the director is very angry and asks him if he has started kidnapping children, so Mak screams at him, asking him to shut up, and keeps displaying what he found, discovering that Ben was infected with bacteria and recovered from it, then got the flu and recovered from it. Then the bacteria reappeared again, causing him rheumatic fever and affected his heart, but they caught him just in time, and his friend is very impressed with him because he discovered everything, as it is difficult for anyone to notice rheumatic fever so easily, and thus Mak has no fault from the start. Ben's father learns all this, but still goes to Mak and keeps blaming him for everything that happened, and at the same time, Ben is crying and asking a nurse if he was going to die in the hospital and not return home again. And after a few hours, Mak goes to check on him, but finds he disappeared, so he goes searching for him, and Ben tries to run away from him, but Mak catches him. Ben keeps screaming, and the nurse and director come, and the director tells Mak that Ben's father suspects him, even though he is not at fault because he does not know how to listen to others or appreciate their feelings, and he must start learning how trust and understanding between the doctor, patient, and family are the first steps of treatment, and that all the time all he cares about is diagnosis and treatment only, informing him he is forbidden from going to the hospital until he changes or finds another place. That accepts him as he is, and we return to the present time where Mak is in front of Hana's door after he learned finally to listen, understand, and appreciate, and Hana finally decides to open the door for him, her hands drenched in blood and the broken glass on the floor, and she collapses crying as soon as he asks her about what happened, telling him her mother left them and walked away, choosing to leave while she was not there, and now she hates her mother, her father, herself, and the house, telling him if she did not exist, her mother would have left earlier and her father would have seen his life, but because of her and her existence, she is a hindrance, a very big hindrance, and she keeps letting out everything in her heart, and Mak notices blood on her hands, so he asks to treat her quickly so it does not leave a trace, just like our feelings and psychological pain must be learned to be treated quickly and carefully so they do not leave any trace, and end as if they never existed, and he takes her to school, informing her that home is not the place, the only place where we can feel familiarity, comfort, and safety, and at this time all her friends enter, very happy with her return and very scared for her. So Hana understands Mok's meaning that home is anywhere we find ourselves, and after she hated returning to school and refused to attend classes, she decides to go with them and returns later to tell Mok she is very grateful to him because he heard and understood her, and this will help her become better and made her very happy. So Mok is deeply touched by her words and finally understands the importance of listening. Then the father comes. Hana's father finally comes after much insistence from Shino, telling them his daughter twisted her leg and he does not understand why they summoned him, because his daughter is kind, quiet, and not a troublemaker, and he knows about her tantrums of anger and understands she is going through mood swings due to the new situation they are in, and with time she will adapt and everything will return to normal, while Mac keeps listening to his words, barely holding himself back from smashing him, telling him it is not just tantrums or breaking things in the house. If you tried once to look at your daughter's left leg, you would find scar marks resulting from her attempts to harm herself, and this time it was slight. Next time no one knows what might happen, so his facial expression changes 180 degrees. Shino asks him what his expression was when Hana asked him to be absent from school, so he feels more embarrassed and looks at the floor, so Mok understands he did not look at her and finally stands up, expressing his anger, telling him, "You did not look right, you avoid or evade looking at her out of your embarrassment. But are you the first man to separate from his wife? There are men, many like you, or their wives died and are doing all roles. Imagine your daughter's feeling living with her father who avoids looking at her. Surely she will feel hated and try to end her life." So he yells at him, understanding he feels for her, and she is his daughter, and they have no right to speak to him like that. So Mok tells him, "It is good, she is your daughter. No, she is your daughter. Know her wounds and psychological state are because of you." And self-harm comes from the inability of a human to express their feelings. But since she started talking and telling Mac, this means she is resisting and trying to recover and get out of the state of anger and silence she is in, saying the doctor and school alone cannot treat children. The parents must too, and parents before anyone else. So her father collapses, crying, asking them to help him overcome this crisis, and goes to look at her photos on the trip, very happy with her, while at the same time Hana and Fu are in class still studying, and when they hear their voices, they hid, but it was useless because they entered and saw them, and her father finally decided to sit and talk with her, and she remained silent at first. So Mok asked her that just as she was hurting because of them, she should hurt them too, to be able to express her feelings correctly, and this was by saying everything in her heart so that everyone could see his faults and fix them. So Hana told him everything in her heart, and her father informed her that he did not hate her or anything, but they were alike in not knowing how to express their feelings, and perhaps this was the reason he lost her mother. But he would not lose Hana and would try to be better. Mok asked him to teach him how to change the dressing on Hana's wounds so they would heal, adding that he and his wife were the cause of their daughter's wounds and they must be the ones to heal them. And the next day, Shino woke up to the sound of the alarm, and it appeared that she was very exhausted, but the time was very late, so she ran out, and when she arrived, Mok saw her and noticed something strange about her, asking what was wrong. So she told him he never cared about anyone and asked why he wanted to be social now, telling him to leave her alone, and went to the classroom. But she surprised the girls having lip balm, which was forbidden to use in school, so she took it from them. And after the day ended, it was Mimi and Rin's turn to clean the classroom, and Mimi asked Rin to go out with them to get matching lip balms. She apologized to her because she did not get an allowance and was forbidden from having such things. So as usual, Mimi complained about the harshness of Rin's mother on her, while at the same time, Shino held a meeting with Mimi's mother to inform her that her daughter brought makeup to school, but her reaction was normal, and she blamed Shino for not being strict enough with the children, claiming all parents said she was difficult to deal with. And we learned Mimi acted that way all the time because her mother was like that. And the next day, Shino was in the classroom early, but suddenly felt dizzy and was about to fall. But she held onto the desk at the last moment and saw a paper on the floor. And when she opened it, it was written in it that they wanted to boycott anyone who spoke to teacher Shino. So Shino became sadder and went to Make, asking for permission to rest a bit, but she overslept and woke up to the bell, so she ran out. Mac was very angry because he had to make the bed after her, but he found the paper that was in her pocket, and the next day, as soon as Shino saw the director, she went to apologize to him because yesterday the director informed her that the student Rin stole lipstick from the supermarket, and she told him that she was usually a girl, quiet and not a troublemaker, but recently she befriended some girls like Mimi, and perhaps she was trying to be like them or attract their attention, and her friend went to ask Mok to come examine her because her condition was very difficult, and indeed Mac examined her against her will, revealing she had anemia, which caused her stomach problems too, and she needed to go for a checkup, but she paid no attention expression unlike usual and left him and walked away. And at the parents' meeting, Rin's mother collapsed crying because of Rin and the fact she would not utter a word, and after the meeting, Mac went to check on Shino and found her on the ground. Shino woke up to find herself in the clinic with the day over, and she yelled at Mac for not waking her, so he yelled at her for neglecting her health and treating herself like a superhero. But humans need rest, and her neglecting herself was not. What would help the students, but when she was well, she could truly help them, and he gave her the paper he found. So she admitted it was part of the reason for her exhaustion, but not the main reason, and she kept crying. And when she returned, she saw most of her tasks were finished, and that. Make was the one who asked everyone to help her, and they asked her to go to the hospital while they finished everything required of her because she never hesitated to help them. And Shino woke up the next day after sleeping so deeply that she missed school time, finally giving herself a space for rest. She went to eat out and collapsed crying because she had almost forgotten what a personal space and nice time we give ourselves meant so we could continue in hard times. And indeed, she returned after the vacation full of radiance and vitality, telling Mac she finally understood the lesson. And in the classroom, she gave every student their result. And when she gave Hana her paper, it had a note on it to see her in the clinic during the break. And Shino did this so no one would interrupt her as written in the note. And of course, Mac did not like this because they turned the clinic into a friends meeting spot. But Shino did not care and welcomed Rin, apologizing to her because that day she saw her in the shop before she stole but chose not to speak to her. Yet if she had known she would do that, she surely would have stopped her. Or perhaps if she had spoken to her like every time, this would not have happened. So they asked her if this was because of the note saying to boycott anyone who spoke to the teacher. So Shino was deeply affected and told her she did not want to impose her authority on them, but wanted to be just a friend to them who could understand them, and they could tell her anything they wanted at any time. Rin was moved and finally decided to speak, informing her that she was the one who wrote the note because Mimi was very upset that the teacher would not leave them alone. And now, because of the same note she wrote, Shino refused to speak to her in the shop, although if she had spoken to her, Rin might have changed her mind and not done something wrong, telling her she did not steal the lipstick because she wanted it, but she just wanted to be like the others because she finally had friends like Mimi and others and wanted not to appear, as if she was not a normal girl like them. And she did this because she was afraid of being lonely and friendless, because the feeling of loneliness is very scary, making you unable to enjoy anything in your life. But the result is that she turned out to be a thief and upset her mother, and she collapses asking Shino if she will be lonely again after finding friends. So Shino is moved, informing her that when she read the note, she too was afraid of being lonely and ignored by everyone, because everyone fears loneliness, even adults, and especially the very old, because loneliness is more terrifying for them than for the young. But a human must learn to find their happiness even if alone, because surely everyone has something that makes them happy, and a quiet corner to go to. And also, a true friend is the one who loves you as you are, not the one who asks you to change against your personality or harms you. And Shino makes her understand that she will surely find people who resemble her and love her as she is, and that she is always by her side whenever she needs. And after the meeting, Shino is happy that finally one of her students opened up to her and she was truly able to help her. So Mach informs her that Rin is not lonely or anything, and that Yuki and her friend came to the clinic and kept bullying him, then asked him to help Rin because they were very scared for her. And Mach keeps complaining that the children treat him as if he is their big sister, and also no one respects him. So Shino mocks him because he surely told them that this is not his job but Shino's job, and it turns out he really did that. But what is truly surprising is that they noticed that Shino was tired, so they did not want to burden her and asked for help from him. So Shino is very touched, and also Mach brings her very many letters. The children put in the suggestion box they made, and when she reads them, she keeps crying because it appears all the children noticed she was tired and avoiding them, and this upset them very much, and they express the extent of their love for her and appreciation for her work, and that she always tries to be a friend, teacher, and big sister to them at the same time. Mimi goes to Rin to ask if she will go out with them on the holiday or if her mother will prevent her. So Rin replies with full confidence, telling her that her mother knows her best interest and she will wait until she enters middle school to do everything she wants as her mother promised her. And she befriends Yuki and her friend, and their relationship is good because she was finally able to find someone like her without being forced to be a person unlike herself. And the next day, class begins and everyone notices Mimi did not come, but none of her friends care. And at this time, Mimi is in the nursing room where anyone with a problem goes as if it is a break room, and Mach is fed up with her because she does not stop talking, saying she will tell her mother, that he is mean to her. So he tells her, fine, tell her and I will kick you out of here right now because I find you annoying. So she sits bullying him even though he is a doctor, but fine. And Mac tells her he finally understood she has a disease. What disease? It is the long tongue disease. And surely this is the reason she did not attend class with her classmates. And Mac turns out to be right, because before class started, Mimi was in the classroom with her friends, and suddenly Mimi tells one of them that she always wears the same clothes, so she will bring her clothes of her own to wear. So the girl is embarrassed and her friend defends her, telling Mimi she shows off all the time and treats them arrogantly, saying words that hurt them even if unintentionally, and the girl keeps crying. And the whole class comments on the words Mimi says, which upset everyone even if she does not mean it, saying Mimi did it again. So Mimi feels unwanted. That is why she decides to go to the clinic and not attend. And Mimi tells Mac what happened. So he tells her her problem is that she does not know how to differentiate between facts and showing off and condescension, and that she made her friend feel she is donating to her in front of everyone in class, although her intention was good, and her friend has 4 sisters and their condition is difficult, so she wanted to help her. But the style and way of speaking are always capable of making words bad, even if the intention is kind. And after school, Make goes with the teacher to a student named Sato because he has been absent from school for a while and he needs to understand his condition, fearing he might be sick. So she informs him his health condition is good, but he has locked himself in since his father left the house and walked away, refusing to look at his mother or deal with her. So Mak asks her if he was eating his food, but she does not know because she works as a nurse in the operating room, and due to nursing shortage, she is considered working 24 hours, apologizing for being a bad mother and failed wife, but she tried very hard to talk to him, but he refuses to listen to her, and she is forced to work to provide a good life for herself and her son, and she gets a phone call summoning her to the hospital. So Mac asks her permission to speak with her son, and when she leaves, Mac notices he does not eat anything and has locked the door on himself, and they keep trying to make him speak, but it is useless, and Mimi is passing by his house by chance, so she sees him and calls him. So the teacher and Mac hear her and discover he escaped from the window. The teacher runs to catch them, but Mac wonders why they must catch him, and this makes the teacher furious with him, telling him, hey son, he escaped from the window, and he catches up to them, but the bus stops and they get on it before they reach them, and he decides to call the school to report what happened and also inform his mother. So Mak takes the bike himself and keeps following them because the bus is heading to the industrial area, and Mimi keeps chattering while Sato is drowning in his memories, remembering when his father was fighting with his mother the night before he left, and it appears he was an irresponsible man and she was the one working and spending while he could not hold down a job, blaming her all the time and speaking to her badly, and he wakes from his memories to her annoying voice asking her to be quiet and appreciate the situation. Then he decided to tell her he was going to meet his father in the industrial area because he left the house and was going to separate from his mother. So did this make her feel ashamed and shut up? No, of course. She turned into a 40-year-old woman and kept asking him why and what for, until he told her he regretted telling her, and that his father informed him before leaving that he would wait for him at the shop where he worked and left him the address. And when the bus arrived, Sato was very tense, but Mimi decided to be his spokesperson and went to ask the place owner, telling him she was Mimi, Sato's friend, and they came to ask about his father. So he informed them that he resigned about a month ago and was not a committed man nor fond of work at all. So Sato returned with a broken heart. Mac finally arrived, but after he was exhausted and he saw Sato falling to the ground, so he gave him sweets to adjust his sugar until he reached him. So Mimi decided to take some too. And Mac tried to speak with Sato, but he remained silent. And because of Mimi's chattering and her praising Mac and staying at his clinic during this period, he asked her if she was being bullied, and that was why she was running away. But she laughed and told him who would bully her, as she was a bully, but did not mean it, and wished to learn to be silent like him to stop hurting others' feelings, even if unintentionally. So Sato told her that because she knew how to talk, she helped him today, because otherwise he would never have been encouraged to go ask about his father. He asked Mak if he felt he forgot something, and he had forgotten the school bike. So they laughed at him, and Mimi told him he did it, Mickey. No one respects you in this school, Mickey, or what? And the three arrived at the hospital where Yoshida hung the IVs for Sato and informed him that he would be fine as soon as the solution entered his body, and Mimi was drinking juice and admiring her very much, but Yoshida informed her that Sato's mother was better than her. Much better, because she was in a sensitive position, saving many people's lives every day, and was very skilled in her work. And at that time, Mak arrived with Sato's mother, but Sato treated her very coldly and refused to reply to her, so she decided to return return to her work, but Mimi stopped her and informed her of what happened, so she apologized to him for what was happening. But this talk did not please Mac, who told her she must stop apologizing for things she did not do, and asked Sato to stop being silent and speak, because silence would not change anything. He asked him if he went to meet his father to say goodbye and continue his life in peace with his mother, but he remained silent, so Mimi said she and Sato complimented each other as she spoke a lot and hurt those around her, while he remained silent always and hurt himself, and they must learn from each other when to speak and when to be silent. So Sato told them he felt guilty that his father left because of him, and he did not blame his mother or anything. On the contrary, he was running away from her because he felt he was the cause of everything. And this takes us back now to before his father left the house by a few days, and they were fighting as usual because he could not keep a job and saw that everyone was wrong and he was right, and Sato was tired of their fights and went out asking them to stop fighting, saying if they could not live together quietly, they should just divorce. And in the present, Sato was collapsed, saying he was very embarrassed before his mother because she was suffering because of him, and if he had not said that, they would not have divorced. So Mimi told him he was surely in pain because he felt lonely, and she informed his mother that Sato had a racket and ball in his bag to play with his father because he really missed him, while at the same time his mother felt lonely because her husband left, and also her son did not speak to her, and they had to learn to overcome this situation, recover, and be better together. And because his mother, as she did not know how to express herself, apologized for being a failed mother and wife, but he told her she was not like that, and that he would wait for her to be well, and they would be together so they would not feel lonely again. So Mock said she was a great nurse, saving many lives every day. In return, if she fell short with her son because of this, the school was there, and the homeroom teacher loved Sato very much, and worried about him, informing them he would also support them, meaning if she fell short in something, she should ask others to help because we complete each other, and he told Sato that. The school would make curry on Monday, so he should return to catch it. So Mimi rejoiced and asked him what he thought about eating in the clinic, and of course, Mak got angry at her because she treated the clinic as if it were her living room, and the director and Mak's friend were standing outside listening, noticing, and amazed by the change that happened to Mak since he worked at the school. And the next day, everyone gathered in the clinic, which was like their living room, and Sato came, and his teacher was waiting for him, and Mimi asked him if he returned to school for the curry. So he told her she was stupid because he returned because this was normal, and he had to learn to eat well, study well, and be fine so his mother would not worry about him. He decided to be brave and finally returned to the classroom. So Fu rejoiced for him, took him, and walked while Mimi was envying him for becoming brave and deciding to return, asking Mak if she could return to the classroom. So he informed her that as long as she admitted her faults, she should speak frankly with her classmates and apologize to them. So she decided to finally return to the classroom, and inside the girls were gathered because they were afraid for her and thinking of returning, all at the same time that she arrived, and finally they were all able to speak frankly with her, and she too, and things returned to normal and better. And Shino was hiding outside the classroom, hearing all this while happy. But then came the student Fu, who caught her, and a new day began at school with a new problem in class 1-1. All the children were singing very happily, but there was a child silent all the time with her face in the ground, and when the children finished singing, one tells the teacher that Maya was not singing with them as usual, and the children keep complaining that she does not speak to them at all, so she orders everyone to return to their seats and asks Maya if her mother is coming to pick her up after school or not. But Maya remains silent as well, and teacher Jin decides to go tell Mak about Maya's condition, informing him that students of the first grade are naturally shy at first and have fear, but this passes with time. However, Maya has been like this since she arrived, although she says she speaks normally at home, and this makes Jin very afraid for her that she cannot make friends or that school is causing her a complex, while at the same time, Maya's mother at home talks to her father about their daughter's problem and that she is very worried about her, but her father does not see a problem because Maya laughs normally and sings, appearing to be a very comfortable girl, and surely her shyness will go away with time. And the next day, Maya and her mother go to school, and as soon as Maya enters, she falls silent, holds her mother's hand tightly, and looks back at the ground, unlike the active, beautiful girl who was singing and playing at home. And Mak arrives seeing Maya, and her mother tells him about her situation, and that she never speaks outside the house unless she and her mother are alone. And at this time, Maya is in her parallel world singing with the toy Captain, and Captain tells her the adults look afraid for her, so she snaps out of it while in the clinic, and Mak says she has a condition called selective mutism, which happens to children at an early age, giving them severe phobia in the social environment, and they cannot express themselves outside the house. And this is an advanced state of anxiety and social phobophobia, and responsible for this is an area in the brain called the amygdala, and this makes them try to speak and scream while they are in places. Social, but without sound coming out or showing on them, because all this happens in their imagination. And the truth is that they suffer greatly because they cannot express themselves, but from the outside they appear very fine to those in front of them. And he explains to her that if the situation does not improve, it might affect her ability to communicate later or her gatherings with people, so her mother keeps crying while Maya is screaming inside trying to get her voice to her mother so she does not cry. But there is no use, and Mach asks Jin to take Maya to class and return her to the last row and not pressure her, giving her many instructions, so they begin helping. Maya come out of her shell, and he goes home with them after school trying to speak with her, but still there is no use, so he gives her mother a communication notebook to be between Maya and Mach, where she can write, or draw anything she wants to direct to Mac. But Maya is very afraid of him, and her mother informs him that she is afraid of people who do not smile, so Mac tries all the way to smile, but he looks scarier. And the next day at school, Mac decides to go to Maya's class, so they become friends, as Shino suggested to him, who was mocking him yesterday that he is grim all the time, and looks very suspicious. And the children of the class keep hitting him with the sticks they play with, because no one really respects him, and he finds Maya drawing, so he asks her what she is drawing, but she hides the drawing and fears him. So he tells her he will wait for her in the break to come to him, and she has every right to fear him, really. And her classmate Nani goes behind her asking him if Maya will get better, and it appears Nani is interested in her and worried about her, so one of the children who were hitting Mac says, "Let us go make her speak now." So they grab Mac, and the child keeps hitting him, but Mac tells him she replies, but in her heart, because she is very shy and afraid. And when we mock her and ignore her, this causes her pain and makes her condition worse, so he apologizes to him, and the children decide to also help Maya by being kind to her and considerate of her feelings. And in the break, Mach tries to communicate with her in any way, trying to draw himself and write next to it, "How are you today?" But his drawing is very bad, as if he drew a strange, suspicious bear. And when the break ends, he decides to return her to class, but he hears the sound of songs and understands it is music class and that it is Maya's biggest fear. So he keeps her with him in the clinic, and he and Maya go out to the garden, and she seems to be looking for something. So Mach catches the insect, asking her if this is what she's looking for. So she gets scared and goes to hide behind him and hugs him. And this is finally the first positive step. And in class, her classmate Riri sees the drawing and asks her who this is. So Maya finally replies to her, but in writing that it is Dr. Mac. So Riri rejoices greatly, telling her she will show her own sketchbook too another time. So Maya nods her head, and this is the biggest proof she is truly improving. And after school, Jin goes to show her mother the notebook, and then that Maya drew the insect, telling her everything that happened while she is very happy. And the next day, Jin goes to Mac asking him if Maya's participation in the party will harm her. So Mach remembers she draws very well and asks Jin if there are drawings in the party, so they let Maya draw them, and thus even if she does not sing, she feels achievement and that she participated. Indeed, knowing that school is a place where she can be happy and have achievements. And the next day, her mother informs him they went to buy many pencils for Maya draw, and for the first time she is the one who goes to ask the seller for the pencils, telling him she truly wants to know her daughter's desires and feelings, happy that they will be able to reach this stage. Step by step, thanks to Mach, who noticed Maya's condition very early, and the next day Jin takes Maya to Mach, and when they arrive, she is surprised her mother is not there. So Mach tells her that her mother got lost in the school and they must look for her, and he goes with Maya indeed to look for her, taking advantage of Maya's love for exploration and curiosity. And this is a good experience for her to explore the school while it is empty and spend a nice time in it, and they keep looking for her. But suddenly Maya disappears and Mach keeps looking for her, remembering the place where he saw her singing alone. And when he goes there, a small hand appears from behind him, touching him and saying, "I found you." And this is the first time Maya speaks inside the school and with someone other than her mother. And she goes to tell her mother aloud that surely Mach was lost, sad, and lonely. So her mother laughs at them, and when she returns home, she draws in the notebook a picture of her mother, and Mach playing hide and seek, and asks her mother if she will know how to thank Riri because she is very kind to her. So her mother encourages her, and indeed the next day she gives a letter to Riri, thanking her in it and asking her to play with her. So Riri rejoices greatly, and the time for practice in the hall comes, and Mach sees them, so he decides to inform her mother that he saw her before singing alone in a distant place in the school, and that she surely has a desire to sing with her friends, so they should not deprive her of this experience. And on the way home, Maya is very sad, and for the first time speaks in the street, telling her first she tried to sing and tried to scream, but her throat suddenly closed up and no sound came out, and that she is weak. So her mother cries because she was finally able to express her feelings, telling her this is a good step and she is strong because she was able to communicate with Mach and play hide and seek with him and send a letter to Riri too, and also said what was in her heart finally, and that she must learn when she does something good to thank herself to become stronger and stronger. And the celebration day comes and everyone is ready, and Riri gives a letter to Maya asking her to play together after the party and wait for her to reply, and the children start singing, and her mother and father are sitting among the audience filming her, their hearts breaking over Maya's condition, while Mach and Jin and everyone watches and waits. And because Maya is strong and brave, she is finally able to move her lips and raise her hands and enjoy with her friends, and although it is just moving lips, it is a very big step. Maya was able to do it with support from everyone who loves her and from Mac, the suspicious bear, at the same time in the hospital. The director and Dr. Jack inform Nao's family that his condition now allows them to perform the open heart surgery, informing them that although results are not guaranteed and surely he must follow a treatment for a while with extreme caution, the surgery remains the most suitable solution for his condition, and they keep discussing all aspects and stages. And Nao's family makes the decision and agrees because this is the day everyone was waiting for. And Kai goes to Mach informing him and asking him to go visit Nao because this will comfort him and encourage him to undergo the surgery, informing him he is very scared. So Mach tells her she is also scared and everyone is scared and tense, and this affects him too. So they must all try to toughen up and be fine for his sake because he draws strength from them, making her understand that these surgeries are done so a human can be well. Yes, we must go through a period of fatigue afterwards, and patience is needed, but the important thing is we will be fine in the end and able to practice our life normally like the rest. And after school, she and her mother go to Nao to check on him, having prepared a surprise for him, showing a video she filmed of Sam and the rest of Nao's friends in her class doing acrobatic moves and asking Nao to heal quickly and undergo the surgery so they can play together as they promised him. And indeed, this makes a huge difference in his psyche, and he is encouraged. But the next day, Nao is playing with a girl he met at the hospital, but she is very scared and sad because her surgery time is tomorrow. So Brave Nao reassures her, and they promise each other when they recover they will play together again. And at school, the children are playing together, enjoying themselves. But as soon as Mimi sees Mach, she runs to him saying, "Come play with us, Mickey." So he runs away from her with all the children after him, and the next day the time comes for his friend's surgery, and she goes to greet him, informing him she will be brave as he told her so they can play together, asking him to be brave too. And a few hours later, Nao tries to go to the bathroom, but is shocked by the appearance of the girl coming out of surgery with tubes coming out of her body, so he gets terrified and hides in his bed, refusing to undergo the surgery, and his mother goes trying to reassure him, but he informs her he does not want undergo the surgery, and his mother talks with the director, who explains to her that waiting will not be the best thing in Nao's case, and she learns what happened, so she decides to go to Mach, asking him to save her brother, telling him what happened to him. So Mach decides to go visit him, who is hiding under the blanket as usual, but as soon as he hears Mach's voice, he comes out very happy to see him, and because Mach is a frank person, he was a very big reason for having a large amount of trust with Nao blindly, and now decides to express his feelings finally, and admits he is sad because all other children can play and run, and he cannot, and that he is afraid of the surgery, and although everyone says he will be fine, he is still afraid, and because Mac's word always makes a difference to him, Mac decides to violate his principle for the first time and tells Nao he will surely recover and be fine, although a doctor should not say the word surely, because nothing is certain in medicine and surgeries, and Mac promises him that when he recovers, he will play any game he wants with him, and they make a promise together. Mac leaves, so Jack goes to thank him for finally agreeing to do the surgery, and when he hears from him what happened, he knows he has changed and learned that we must listen to patients and consider their feelings, and the next day the time comes for the surgery, and Kai sends a letter to Nao apologizing that she cannot be with him, but when he wakes up, he will surely find her, asking him to be strong so he can go to school quickly. And after school, Kai returns to the hospital very scared and anxious, so her mother informs her the surgery time is not over yet, and they wait, very tense, and she receives a letter from Nao thanking her for every time they spent a nice time together, promising her to be strong and brave so they can spend more and better time together than before, asking her not to cry for him again, but she drowns in her tears, and the surgery ends finally well, and the director informs them he will remain under anesthesia for a while until his body begins to adapt to the new situation, because there are very many changes now happening happening inside him that the body must adapt to. And Mac arrives at the hospital and learns the news from Jack, telling Jack he finally knew what soul healing means. And this is thanks to the children at school, and that they should not be interested only in treating the thing they see, because what we do not see is greater and the basis of all diseases, and human feelings are the main driver. For it indeed, so Jack is touched that Mock finally understands and runs to inform Yoshida of what happened, as he does every time, and they keep laughing. And during this period, Kai is always distracted, so Shino speaks to her after class, informing her that her brother is strong and will get through it, but she must be strong and enjoy the time she spends at school and with her friends, because these times will not be compensated again. And her mother goes the next day to the hospital to check on Now, and he is dreaming of everything he will do with his family, friends, and Mock when. He gets out, and suddenly he opens his eyes slowly, so his mother is amazed and goes to call the doctor. And at night, Mock goes to check on him, and Now asks him if his heart will be fine, so Mock takes out a stethoscope and lets Now hear his heart sound for the first time. So he rejoices greatly because his heart has become strong and making an effort, and Mock explains to him that all this happened because he was patient, and only very simple steps remain where he must be patient too. And the next day he is training for handball as he promised Now, and Gigi keeps mocking him because he is not good at anything at all, while at the same time the girl who was with Now improved and went to visit and encourage him, informing him that he too will improve and become like her if he is patient and becomes stronger, promising him that as soon as he improves they will play together as they promised each other. And when she leaves, he puts his hands on his heart, asking it to be patient a little longer, and they will be stronger, and days pass. And Now is able to recover and makes nature improves, and he integrates with the children more, as well as Kai, who truly starts enjoying her days at school, and they force Mac to play with them, and brave, beautiful Now is finally able to return home. And after a while, his first day at school begins to catch the second semester before it ends and complete the first grade with his classmates. And on the way, they meet Sam and his friends to welcome him, and Mock is waiting for him in front of the school too. And when they ask him if they will play handball as they promised, Shino tells him he was training a lot, so they all laugh at him, and the whole class 1 comes out to welcome him, and his mother sees him taking his steps, which she always dreamed of, and Mac goes to make a health record for Now, writing the details of his condition, and Yugi and her friend go to him as usual and keep asking him what he likes and if there is anyone in his life or not, very happy while embarrassing him. But suddenly Nurse Yumi comes and tells Mock she came to greet him and learn from him the details of the health life, because she will return in the next semester. So Mock takes a shock to his heart, which became attached to the place, and began knowing what feelings mean, and living a life other than the one he was used to, full of work, study, and science only. And he informs her about the cases of all students moving to the next grades. So Yumi is very happy, telling him he was able to make the clinic a safe and nice place for children. And the biggest proof is the students who were here were not sick, but came because they love the clinic. So surely he is someone very kind to them and helped them a lot. So Mock decides to fix the mistake that made all this happen from the start and was the reason for him improving himself, going to ask Jack and Yoshida to inform him about Ben's condition. So he notices everything became fine and he is regular with checkups and treatment. But his father says he sees him often pressing on his chest, but Ben denies this, saying he is fine. And although they did test, there is no trace of illness, so Mock says the pain might be psychological due to his hatred for the hospital, and he might have gone through a crisis related to hospitals, so he started hating to go there. And this was the reason for his fear of the place in the beginning. So Yoshida tells them that one day he was crying and asking her if he would be able to return home again or die in the hospital like his mother, informing him that when she asked, she found out his mother was undergoing surgery and entered the hospital and everything was fine. But suddenly Corona appeared and she caught the infection while in the hospital, so she could not withstand it and lost her life. And this was surely the reason for his fear of hospitals. So Mock decided the next day to communicate with his father. And indeed, he went to them at night, and when Ben saw him, he treated him coldly and entered the bathroom. So Mock told the father that he would like to hear about Ben and his mother, but he informed him that since her death, they no longer spoke about her and threw away everything related to her so that Ben could get over the subject. So Mock understood the pain that came to Ben in his chest was due to a psychological condition. And surely this was because of losing his mom and his fear of hospitals. And he asked him if Ben saw his mom when she lost her life or not. So his father informed him that even he did not see her. All he received of her were bones. And at the hospital, they said these were his wife's remains. And he was still in a state of shock, unable to comprehend her death. Ben was 5 years old at the time, and he thought when he removed all her things and stopped talking about her, he would be fine. And he was always telling Ben to be in good health just as his mom told him. He did not know that these words would be the reason for his son to pretend all the time he was fine and refuse to go to the hospital. And Mock relayed this to the director and Jack, asking the director to solve Ben's crisis himself. So the director decided to trust him because this would be his first test in establishing trust between him and the patients in the hospital and helping them overcome their psychological crises, not just physical diseases. And the next day he informed Shino of what happened and asked her to help him. So she decided to help him along with all her class students, and he was very impressed by their colleagues' drawing. So she mocked him, saying these were real bears, not the suspicious bears he drew. And a phone call came to Ben's father, so he asked his son that they go out together on Sunday, and Sunday came and it was the 150th anniversary of their school's founding, where students did very many activities, and Ben and his father arrived at the school, which was not his school, and we learned that Mock was the one who invited him. The students welcomed him and he got to know them, and Now was with them and they all played, and Ben kept looking at Now, whom he learned from other students was a heart patient, but laughed, played, and lived his life all the time, and the time for the puppet play came in. The clinic and everyone went to attend it, and the story told of a small bear living with his mother in the forest, spending his best times with her. But one day the mother got very tired and asked the bear to be always strong and fine and maintain his health because she would not be able to be with him again, but her love would always be with him. And days passed, and the bear learned to rely on himself in everything. But with time he became silent and did not express his feelings even when he got tired, and his animal friends asked him what was wrong, so he told them he was fine. So with time his condition started getting worse and worse, until once he heard his mother's voice speaking to him and informing him that he understood her promise wrong, and that naturally he must be strong and fine, but this never meant that when he was tired he should not get checked and try to improve, or for example not express his feelings or stop asking for help from those around him, because all this would make him with time weak and not strong at all. And she asked him for a promise to learn to express himself, so the bear promised her, and at the same time Ben said, "I promise," aloud. And after the party, Mock told his father that he told him stories, very many about his wife, and thought Ben would be happy when he told him stories about her too, and this would help them both to share their sadness and joy and accept her absence step by step, because escaping from pain and reality is not a solution, but confrontation and sharing our feelings are what help our wounds heal. And thus father learned a very big lesson, and were ready now to live the rest of their lives correctly. And after the party, all the teachers were surprised that the play idea came from Mock, and that it was a very great idea and truly helped Ben. And they kept talking about him, saying he was still grumpy and spoke little, but was honest and helped children, and they were very sad because he would leave them and go. Mac heard all their words and was deeply touched. And graduation day came, and Mac saw a very big board on his desk with a drawing of him and handprints of every student from Shino's class expressing in it their feelings for him. And this was the gift of the students who thought Mac helped them, even though they were the biggest change in his life. And days passed, and Mac finally returned to the hospital and was examining one day a child who kept crying. So Shino suggested him to laugh, maybe the child would stop crying, but he looked scarier, but he learned. And on the first day of school, Mac went to check on the situation in the school, and he saw Maya coming out of the clinic. And as soon as she saw him, she smiled and greeted him. And Yumi informed him that her condition improved a lot and reassured him about the rest of the children. And Shino came with a painting as a gift for him, and he yelled at her as usual, because surely she stayed up all night painting it and did not sleep well. And they kept fighting together just as the 6th grade students arrived, who became first-year middle schoolers and decided to gather at the school to greet Mac. They made a very loud noise, and Mac yelled at them as usual, but they were happy, and he congratulated them on the new school year. And just like that, it ends our series. Goodbye.